What's up guys, Misha here from Beyond the Huddle and welcome to this week's altcoin forecast. As always, before we get into the chart, we'll first take a look at the SMI. We'll try to see, are we seeing accumulation or distribution? And then we'll go ahead and take a look at the COT report, looking at last week's data, seeing is it bullish, is it bearish, what could we potentially expect for tomorrow's report, because tomorrow's Friday. And then after that, we'll go ahead and take a look at the price action for Ethereum. But before we get started, guys, as always, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. We greatly appreciate that. And also click the notification bell so you can get notified every single time we drop a new video. And with that said, guys, let's go ahead and get this video started. Alright guys, we are now looking at the SMI. This is within our Discord server, which by the way, if you guys are interested in joining our Discord server, which is completely free, at least the community section, then you can go ahead and check out the link down below in the description where you can join the server for free and come in, interact with us, talk about COT or the price action or whatever it is you guys want to talk about. But as far as the SMI is concerned here, we're looking at the long-term one. And this is the latest data that came in today at 3 p.m. We can see that this high right here was formed based off of distribution, kind of the same thing that we saw here. And then we saw accumulation here, created a rally. Now we're seeing accumulation again. And this accumulation right here is starting to create somewhat of a rally. So this is the long-term market sentiment, for the spot market. Now let's look at the short-term sentiment. We can see that the distribution was a lot more pronounced on the short term. So there's a lot of shorter-term players selling here. And now we're starting to see accumulation again, but that accumulation is starting to die down a little bit, just a tiny bit here on the short term. But we saw that on the long term, the accumulation was still somewhat decent, right? Not strong accumulation yet, kind of like what we saw here, but definitely accumulation, okay? Not neutral. Whereas here on the short term, we did get to neutral. So we'll talk a little bit more about that once we get into the price action. But now that we saw what the market sentiment is for the spot market, now let's go ahead and take a look at what the COT report looks like. All right, so we're now looking at the COT report for Ethereum, and this is the report as of March 1st of 2022. That was Tuesday of last week. And based on that report, we can see that the asset managers, which are the institutional players, their long position stayed put at 0, and they actually increased their short position by 32 contracts, which means that they're still 100% short. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this all looks like on the chart. So go to trading view and we're looking at the Ethereum chart here, and we have the percentage longs and shorts here. And then down here, we have the actual short positioning. And we can see that the shorts have increased again, as we said, and they're still above the average, and we're still 100% short. And we can see that ever since that the shorts have gone back above the average here, we have been in a downtrend, okay? And this large short position has not gone back below and sustained below the average, right? We saw that there was 1 week where we slightly went below the average, but we did not sustain below that average. We went right back up. So that's telling us that we cannot expect to end to the downtrend at the moment, right? So we can see short-term bounces like we saw here. As the number of short contracts was decreasing, the market rallied up a little bit. But as soon as we hit this weekly supply here, we can see that the short contracts started to increase again and price fell back down. Now, was not able to make a new low, but we're still consolidating within this area right here. So we'll do a lot more we'll go into a lot more details about that once we get into the price action. But last thing I want to show you guys is the actual longs. And we can see the longs are still at 0, guys. And that's not what we want to see. We need these longs to pick up. Now, the longer these longs spend at 0, the lower the average is going to go. Right now, the average is 12. But we need to see these longs start to pick up. And obviously, once they start to pick up, they will definitely be going above the average because of how low the average currently is. But we're going to need to see that happen for us to be able to call a bottom. It's one thing to see the shorts go below the average, but we also need to see the longs start to pick up, because if they have 0 longs, that means that they have 0 belief in this market going higher. So we need that to change. So tomorrow's Friday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, we will get a new COT report. And if we want to be bullish in this market, we're going to need to see these longs increase. So we'll see what happens with tomorrow's report. But at the moment, based on the COT, things are looking pretty bearish for Ethereum. So with that said, guys, now let's go ahead and take a look at the price action. All right, guys, we're now looking at ETHBTC, and we're on a weekly time frame, and we can see that we've been in a downtrend for the past couple months here. Same with the USDT price. And based on last week, we were talking about how we had still been consolidating between this low and this high right here. and we had been consolidating there for the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. And then finally this week, we try to poke our head below this low right here, but we have actually hit one of the targets that we were talking about, which is the previous year's value area high, right? So if I zoom out, you guys can see we have the volume profile here for last year. This is using our BTH volume profile indicator. And you guys can see that we have finally hit the value area high of the previous year. So there's definitely a potential for us to see a reversal of that area right here. That was one of our targets. To the downside, it was this value area high here and also this daily demand down here. So we hit the value area high. Now we are bouncing. What do we need to see after this bounce in order to be able to confirm that the market is going to continue to rally? Now, another level that we had was this daily demand right here, which had already been hit. So we can get rid of that. So let's remember that we hit the yearly value area high. Now, when we drop down into an 8-hour, we look at our quarterly value area. We are within value on the quarterly. So there's potential for us to go either up or down. And then when we look at the 4-hour, we're looking at our monthly value area. We can see that we're bear trending right now. So that's not what you want to see. But when we start going down into the lower time frames, and now on a 1-hour time frame, I am looking at my weekly value area. You guys can see that we're sitting right on the previous week's value area low. Now this is significant. Now why is that significant? Because as you guys can see, we started the week, we went up to the POC, dropped, played around a little bit, and we were bear trending for a couple days. And then now we are rebounding back up off of that previous year's value area low down here. We're rebounding back up, and what we need to see is we need to see the flow start to switch on these lower time frame volume profiles. Okay, and what I mean by flow start to switch, we want to stop bear trending on these lower time frame and start to go within value or start to bull trend on those time frames. So price being at this previous week's value area low right here is a very key level, because if we reject off of this, then there is a potential for us to continue lower and for this yearly value area low to no longer be seen as a strong support and for price to break that. However, if we're able to break above this year and start to go within value, we would also be going back above the weekly open, which would turn this week into a bullish week. And we also have the opportunity to go back above the monthly open. So once we're able to go back above this, then we're targeting the monthly open and the previous week's value area high. And then if we're able to go back above that previous week's value area high, then we can start to think about a major reversal from that low right here, which could start to take us up into what? Into this daily supply up here, okay? So that's what I would be looking at. So let's mark this daily supply here. Call it daily supply. Boom. That would be one of our targets. However, if we're unable to break this here, which is the previous week's value low and also the weekly open, then we're targeting this daily demand down here. So that's what I'm seeing on ETHBTC. Those are the two potential scenarios that I'm seeing at the moment. Now let's go ahead and take a look at ETHUSD. All right, guys, we are now looking at ETHUSD. And if you guys remember what we said about the COT report, the asset managers are still heavily short on Ethereum, at least based on the last report that we got last Friday. So we'll see what this Friday brings, right? Tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, we'll get the new data and we'll be able to analyze that and see if there's a potential for a reversal at these lows right here. But based on the latest data, we would expect continuation to the downside. Now, that is from a macro perspective. But remember, when we looked at the SMI, we saw that currently there is actually accumulation happening on in the spot market, right? And we're going to see how this accumulation is coinciding with some pretty strong support levels in the market right now, which could allow us to potentially see a bounce in the market. Now, am I saying that this is the low and we're going to skyrocket from there? Absolutely not. I will need the COT confirmation for me to be able to say that. However, we'll go into our 4-hour time frame, and you guys will see that this is the previous month's value area low, and you guys can see how price is currently bouncing off of that level. And we also have the weekly open right here. So this is an area where we can expect a bounce off of. Now, we've pretty much been consolidating, and if I go back to my daily, or maybe even the weekly, but we'll stick to the daily here, this price range right here, we've been consolidating within this price leg right here. We've not made a lower low, we've not made a higher high. So this entire area right here has been consolidation. Now, looking at what the asset managers have been doing within this area, we saw them reduce their shorts here, but then start to increase them starting from up here as the price was dropping again. So right now, we would assume that asset managers are actually adding shorts within this consolidation, and we could potentially see price eventually roll over to the downside, maybe down into this point of control, or maybe this 3-day demand area right here. However, as I was saying, right now we are getting indication from the SMI that we could see a bounce, the same way we had indication of a bounce here, indication of a high here, indication of a high here as we were hitting the previous month's value area high. Now we're hitting the previous month's value area low, and we're seeing accumulation. But not only that, when we look at our hourly time frame, and I'm looking at my weekly volume profile, you guys can see that this is also the previous week's value area low. So this is definitely indicative of price potentially starting to retrace up here, at least give us a retracement within that range right here. Swing high, swing low, back into a premium area here, maybe even this area, those 3 up candles right here. So we would mark that out right here, those 3 up candles. That could be an area where price could come back into before maybe potentially going back lower if we start to see distribution around that area. So that's what I'm seeing on Ethereum right now. Macro perspective, still bearish. However, shorter term play, we are seeing support here, meaning that I would not be looking for short opportunities within this little area right here. I would have to see a price go higher and then start to see distribution, and then I'd look for short opportunities. That also means that I am also not looking to be a buyer down here because of how bearish the COT is, but that's telling me that I should not be looking for short opportunities at these lower prices here. So that's what I'm seeing here on Ethereum, guys. Hopefully you guys got some value from it. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell so you can get notified every single time we drop a new video. And also, remember, there's going to be a link down below in the description if you guys want to join our Discord server or take the trial for our indicator suite on TradingView, which includes this volume profile here and the COT indicator and all the other stuff that we use. So if you're interested in that, links are down below in the description. And with that said, I will see you all in the next video. Peace.